about taking responsibility beyond the shores of the United States for the rest of the world. And this is what you did. I know there have been debates about whether your allies in Europe were with you enough. I just want to say one thing, which is sometimes... Yeah, but let me say one thing, which is, I know you think that, but let me... And I know about the, let's say, your irritation about that. But when you look at the numbers, 4,000 to 5,000 US planes taking off from bases in Europe in the 6 weeks this war took place. Still, the ceasefire took place mid-April. Bucharest, the airport in Romania, having to close. It had to close for commercial traffic because they had to make sure that you were able to send a tanker aircraft up.
President Trump is speaking to the NATO leader, and we're just looking at what's going on about what was happening in Iran. And at the beginning, at the onset of this, I'm live. Guys, let me know if I'm live. I'm gonna try to set up this. I haven't did live streaming on my laptop in a long time, my computers. So I'm trying to do this new thing. But yeah, we're just looking at this, guys. What do you guys think about the President holding a meeting with the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte about what's happening in Iran and what happened with Iran at the onset? What is your opinion? What do you think? That was interesting. President Trump is like a pioneer as far as going outside of the political realm and circle and doing his own presidential thing. That's unique, and it takes a strong person to do that, you know. So kudos to the President of the United States, setting precedents on the world stage. That's what I'm talking about, the world stage, not just local. So I appreciate that. It makes our country look good. If it didn't go that way, it'll look really bad about what was happening out there. So I was very surprised to see Trump and his positionality, and that's why most presidents, most presidents took this position like he did, and because of the blowback, the political blowback, the political rhetoric, all of these possible things that could come at you. And this president, he's dead center, straightforward, and do as he will, and he's making it happen. To be honest, he's making it happen. Let's hear a little more about what he has to say about this meeting, this reaction on this meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte.
So this is what I know. There have been isolated cases about which you are really disappointed, but generally speaking, your European allies have been there with you. I really want to make the point: 4,000 to 5,000 US planes taking off from European air bases. So that's about Iran. Now I want to take you, if you stay here, I go over to these boards here, because I want to show you what this president was able to achieve. And I start with this chart. This chart is about the Trump trillion. The Trump trillion shows you the increase Europeans and Canadians are paying into defense since you took office in 2017. Right. Trump 45 plus Trump 47. A total of extra spent by the Europeans and the Canadians of 1.2 trillion. When you look at the effect of Trump 47, so the isolated effect of the extra defense spending in 2025 and in 2026, you see almost $140 billion extra spent nominal on defense by the Europeans and the Canadians, and also this year you will again see an increase by about 120 billion, which brings a total in 2 years of over $250 billion. I can assure you, this is because of Russia, because of the threat, but I'm also absolutely convinced that you, being President of the United States, being consistently pushing for something which since Eisenhower has not been achieved, which is the Europeans equalizing their defense spending with the United States, This is your evidence. Then, when it comes to jobs, look here.
If you've been injured in a recent car accident,
Yeah, the president of the United States has definitely has taken to the next level and shown ones that he is not afraid to push forward, push the envelope on his own.
5,000 jobs being supported by investments. Investments from European companies into the United States, 83,000 jobs supported by that.
This is showing you guys, like, basically, President Trump sitting there like, man, look what I've done for the American people. So this is abundance. This is I gotta admit, if these charts are correct, and I believe they're correct, and they're stating that he's forcing other nations to carry their weight as far as defense budget, and that puts more defense budget back towards the American defense plan, and like this, the General Secretary, the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte stated that it's amazing to see that since President Eisenhower, we haven't seen this done. So this is a lot of presidents. We got Reagan, we got Trump, Clinton, Obama, Biden. I mean, not Trump, but we got all these Carter. We got all these presidents that came, Nixon, all these presidents that was before. Still, Bush. He went back to Eisenhower saying, this is historical, that this President Trump now has presently engaged the world on a different level and forcing nations to take precedence over their defense budget, where we previously was doing it as the world's dominant power as far as military might, and that had to be addressed because you're gonna like that, but hey, come on, you gotta take care of your part too. And he brought to stand down a lot of foot soldiers and brought them back to the United States out of these foreign nations and make them stand accountable for their own men. You know, can you imagine we're our soldiers at post that should be having that nation's men at the post? You know, it was crazy just to see that. So yeah, he did a lot of elevation as far as awareness to the defense budget and to how much we're spending and how much other nations are not spending that they should be spending and should have been spending for decades, but they have not been. Their feet have not been held to the fire to that. So hey, he did a lot. So yep, it's amazing. So what's your opinion on that? Let me know what you think. I'm trying to look up. I gotta figure out how this, guys. I'm trying to figure out. Sorry. But yeah, I figured this point out. I just want to come in and talk about this NATO with the Secretary General Mark Rutte. There's not a lot of stuff spoken on NATO. NATO seems to be sitting back in the shadows, and a lot of people are not talking about NATO. That's something emergency come up on, and I'm glad. I just want to touch base and keep NATO in the president's political sphere. Don't let NATO fall to the background of irrelevance, because they are very important. NATO is very important. So on the world stage. So let's don't let them do that. So that's why I want to talk about NATO, react on this video. And look at the president just sitting there like, yeah, y'all said this was gonna happen. I done it, and completed what I said I was gonna do.
More than 12,000 jobs created by the fact that Europeans are massively. About half of all their defense spending when it comes to defense industrial output is spent in the United States. 112,000 jobs. Last year they spent $54 billion on US defense industrial output. There is now an order catalog, an order backlog of $300 billion. So $300 billion of defense spending